Have you ever noticed that the smartest characters in anime almost never flaunt their intelligence? Akagi doesn't boast. Ayanokoji deliberately projects mediocrity. Madarame Baku cultivates the image of a reckless gambler. This isn't humility, it's a form of tactical concealment. In a rigged world, looking too competent isn't an advantage, it's a liability. It paints a target on your back. Competence triggers countermeasures. Visibility invites suppression. This isn't a phenomenon exclusive to fiction. Across history, strategic intelligence emerged as a survival mechanism in hostile, asymmetric environments, not merely as an intellectual skill, but as an existential adaptation. In The Cultural Roots of Strategic Intelligence, Gino LaPaglia demonstrates how entire civilizations embedded this logic into their culture. The strategist survives not through open dominance, but through the manipulation of perception, ambiguity, and timing. From the Greek concept of metis, cunning, craft, and subtle deception, to Chinese thick black theory, which teaches the ruthless art of hiding strength behind shamelessness and concealment, the pattern is universal. When you look too strong, the world organizes to humble you. When you signal dominance, capability, or mastery too early, the world reacts. This directly echoes the 21st law of power from Robert Greene. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. It's not about actual inferiority. It's about projecting harmlessness while retaining full operational capacity. Ayanokoji embodies this to perfection. As long as the powerful believed he was average, they ignored him. The moment his true capability became undeniable, resistance became irrelevant, because by then the game was already over. But there's a deeper layer that even the laws of power only scratch at, and it's revealed through strategic intelligence theory. It's not merely about fooling an individual. It's about fooling the system itself. In highly structured, competitive, or bureaucratic systems, whether schools, corporations, social hierarchies, or political arenas, competence breeds enemies. The system's default reaction to an outlier is to suppress them. This isn't malice, it's structural self-preservation. The truly elite strategist doesn't just play weaker to fool an opponent. They maintain structural ambiguity, remaining cognitively invisible to the system itself. This means, avoid being classified as a threat. Appear as background noise. Allow others to underestimate, miscategorize, or dismiss you by design. This isn't cowardice. It's leverage. The moment others believe you're irrelevant, they lower their defenses. Their information shields drop. Their pattern recognition shuts off. Their guard collapses. That's when the strategist moves unseen, unstoppable. And this reveals an uncomfortable truth about social life. In a world obsessed with visibility, self-promotion, and signaling competence, the most dangerous players are the ones you don't even notice. If you are readable, you are controllable. The first skill in strategic intelligence isn't manipulation, it's opacity. Make your intentions invisible. Make your patterns difficult to map. Make your thoughts illegible to observers. Akagi doesn't need to hide behind deception because his greatest weapon is that no one can confidently predict his next move. His silence forces opponents to project their fears, biases, and assumptions onto him, and those projections become their own undoing. The ambiguity can be used as a force multiplier. Like mentioned in a previous video, Akagi's refusal to reclaim his blood isn't recklessness. It's an act of controlled ambiguity. Washizu cannot calculate a player whose values don't match conventional logic. The uncertainty deforms Washizu's predictive models, forcing him into paranoia and eventually collapse. This is a blueprint. The less others can compute your priorities, the harder it is to mount effective resistance against you. But here's the next level most people never realize. If the most powerful moves are invisible, if the smartest players never reveal their real hand, then ask yourself, how often am I blind to the real game being played? Because if ambiguity is a weapon, then ignorance of ambiguity is a liability. Most people walk through life believing the visible story is the real story. What's being said is the truth. What's being done is the goal. But the strategist knows, always, that the loudest signals are often camouflage. This is the most painful asymmetry in reality. The average person reacts to appearances. The strategist reacts to structure. Washizu loses to Akagi not just because of bad luck or misplays, but because he's blind to the deeper layer of the game Akagi is actually playing. Washizu looks for obvious threats. Akagi deals in non-obvious advantages. This is why geniuses don't just survive chaotic systems, they thrive in them. While the naive player looks at what people say, the strategist looks at what people avoid saying. While the naive player notices what people do, the strategist notices what people consistently refuse to do. The absence of action becomes as loud as the action itself. What's missing here? What's being concealed? This shift changes everything. The world stops being chaotic noise and starts revealing its structure. This is exactly how Akiyama won the minority game. He wasn't searching for confirmations. He was searching for voids, for anomalies, for the patterns that weren't there. Akiyama never assumed he had complete information. In fact, he treated the absence of information as information itself. This constant interrogation of the unseen is what allowed him to bypass deception, dismantle false narratives, and see the hidden mechanics that everyone else was blind to. Strategic intelligence is about operating in low-signal environments, situations where the truth is deliberately obscured, disguised, or absent. People lie. Institutions distort. Social groups gaslight themselves for comfort. The average mind collapses in ambiguity. The strategic mind sharpens in it. How do you recognize someone playing the hidden game? Look for behavior that doesn't match the visible incentives, meaning they are playing for something others cannot see. The world isn't built for honest transactions. It's built as a layered game of perception, misdirection, dominance, and camouflage. When you finally realize this, you stop reacting to surface-level events, and you start moving inside the hidden architecture of reality itself. Most people assume the game is what's written in the rules, but the strategist knows that the real game happens in the gaps between the rules, in the spaces where convention, expectation, and blind spots operate. Gino LaPaglia's research uncovers this hidden layer across civilizations. Strategic intelligence was never about brute strength or open competition. It was about subversion, reframing, and redefining the field itself. This is why the smartest characters, like Madarame Baku, don't play fair, not because they are immoral, but because they understand that morality itself is often a socially convenient narrative weaponized by those in power to limit the moves of others. Strategy is an existential response to constraints. A strategic mind is fundamentally anti-linear. The average person thinks in straight lines. A leads to B leads to C. But systems aren't linear. They are webs of incentives, feedback loops, and hidden dynamics. Akagi's refusal to reclaim his blood wasn't a move in the game, it was a move on Washizu's mind. He weaponized Washizu's inability to process an illogical input. That's the nature of cognitive judo, use the rigidity of the opponent against them. The principle behind this isn't random chaos. It's something Richard Rumalt identifies as the difference between noise and signal. Most people drown in noise because they take all information at face value. But the strategist filters for signal, for the underlying mechanics that actually move the system. Washizu looks at the tiles. Akagi looks at Washizu. Class D looks at the school's rules. Ayanokoji looks at the architecture of incentives controlling the entire class hierarchy. LaPaglia calls this the ontological shift of the strategist, from seeing the world as fixed to seeing it as a manipulable architecture of perception, incentives, and constraints. This is why genius characters seem almost alien. Their decisions don't make sense to those still playing the surface game. Their moves look strange, reckless, or illogical until it's too late. And this isn't limited to fiction. It's a skill set, one cultivated over thousands of years across myth, war, politics, and business. So if you want to scale your intelligence beyond the average, you don't start by learning more facts. You start by learning to see differently. Ask, what is the real game here? What's the invisible incentive shaping this situation? Whose assumptions am I being forced to play by? What constraint do I assume is unchangeable, but actually isn't? This is the point where naive competence ends and strategic perception begins.